You are watching Eswatini TV, Sibuko Semaswati.
Beautiful day, beautiful Monday. Hello and welcome. Once again, we meet. This is the day that the Lord has made. We're going to talk about sport, not any other business. We start locally. We'll look at different activities. Of course, a couple of things were washed out by the heavy rains over the weekend and the weather conditions that were not accommodating. We talk about cricket, we talk about golf, and we talk about tennis, finals that were expected to take place. We go along and touch on gymnastics. They had their AGM, annual general meeting, where we'll hear from the General Secretary, Muriel Hofer, some of the issues that were discussed over the meeting. Otherwise, there is also another association that had the annual general meeting. That is swimming association. Outgoing Bega Ngumar, after 10 years in charge, is going to tell us what he has achieved so far. Herman Jelle, incoming, is also going to tell us something that he's looking to change, including working on the return of the sport as soon as possible. Otherwise, we'll also rush to pool. The potential champions, Correctional, have lost their first game. Of course, we touch on that and listen to how they are looking to recover from that activity. Otherwise, internationally, there's no other story to touch on. Is the D deadline, the international period where players move from one country, from one club to another. We touch on that. With that, of course, forgetting the 6-1 and 7-2 that we witnessed over the weekend, including a beautiful performance, of course, by other clubs in the European countries. I'm already in the company of my colleague Linda Dlamini. Nguvusele Dlamini.
Ngiyabonga Fabrice, ngiyabonga sibalo wami ngizomluka ebusuku ngekuthoba lokukhula ngivusele nabami labamqoki malwel viewers.
Ngasojabule kakhulu sekwendekeni khona lembo
no sibalo uyathi ukuthi nangabe every time nangita embi komalwel viewers ngiba move lo jabulile because kubeka ngami ngangihlala nabo sicoce unfortunately ngala bangale makhaya bona.
They have it. Linda Dlamini, our in-house analyst. Nothing is short in his presence. Lokufunago is about sports and he is here. I mean, asicala na activities bekufune bekhona over the weekend. Now ukhuluma ngama activities. Rainy conditions were not accommodating. Now ukhuluma ukuthi cricket was supposed to be active. Now ukhuluma ukuthi golf was active but half active, not really active. So utsenza kancane, but sicale nga SS tennis finals. Besikatsile ukuthi Thando bekufuna atfone tour na Derek, but things were not really clear of how things were going to go with the rainy condition, of course.
Yes, Fabrice, ngikabantu batokhumbula namalwel viewers ukuthi nanga ema games nawaya ladlalwa about a week ago nakhona lapho abesaphathanyiswa imvula lana lapho ibikani belidvuma limanyata siyateke ukuthi tennis court vele itsinga ukuthi gome la pass nge weekend ke bekutsinga ukuthi kube nama finals bekutsinga ukuthi kudlale yena Thando naye Derek lengicaba ukuthi vele ibaphathamise kakhulu emvula linile bekumanti la pass bengeke ama games akhona ukuchubeka.
Masa sakhuluma last week ukuthi should we in most cases say ukuthi lesingakwenda ngoba simo sethu sikanjena, but siyakhona ukubuka way forward ukuthi simo sethu sitaba sinjani. So what did we in the first place display lama games with conditions, knowing ukuthi vele simo sitaba sikaphi? Last khona mina nayo siyathi ukuthi kusasa is the same way, which is a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday probably changes. So why did we maybe the association or the sport industry at large allow the games to proceed, knowing very well ukuthi lama lesimo sinjalo?
I think kuvele tikhona letinye tivele tidzinga ukuthi tiplanwe prior like boma 2 weeks 3 weeks ubukala ukuthi simo selitulo siyaba kanjani, because ngicabanga ukuthi plan B ungendeka nge weekend belina kodwa Sunday nje belingani lacala nzambama ngabo after 4-5 kukhifita lengicabanga ukuthi that was the right day ukuthi bekungadlalwa ngayo. Lengitshona ukuthi lapha sekule tennis court kuhlale kumandi kodwa kungasentshentiswa most of the time sekubona ka cricket ukuthi nangabe liyana bese kudonswa ama sail cover leyo surface leyo ngicaba ukuthi even nale tennis court like dawudlela khona lama finals namhlanje lokungumsomluko thola ukuthi livaliwe le court yethu lesibili lesithathu lesine lesihlanu seyomile nangabe ngemgcibelo ngeke lizeline then iyakhona kuchubeka igame kuyadlalwa kucompromisewe lapho tennis court yomile iweather noma ingajika nzambama after 4-5 tabe seyidlawuliwe le game.
Usakhuluma nge-cricket mas, I think the 8-team league was supposed also to take place and I think nasikhuluma nge-cricket we saw the last weekend Rama results, the likes of Bo Park 11 of course making headlines. They were supposed to be back in the field of play. Maybe got cricket master plan B kulukhuni nalokuthi the area is mostly not covered, it's like a normal field, a field of play, but how much of an effect was to the players, especially ngoba bebakadzela ukuthi vele they'll be back in the field of play?
Kuba affecta kakhulu Fabrice, siyathi ukuthi ama players asuka satlungiselele mentally kuthi asawuqala i-league 8-team league akakhona ke kwendeka lokho siyathi nakhona ukuthi ka cricket vele siyasibona even international laqala nje lana vele kudzinga ukuthi kube bede imvula. Fortunately ke for them ngale ngeshare noma ngalabo makhelwane baye babe nawo vele lama sale ngicabanga ukuthi thina singakhona kusebenzisa ama sale but basebenzisa lokunye lokungcono lokuma sale kodwa thina sithi ke lokho lengicabanga ukuthi even nale surface yethu ayikalungele vele ukuthi ingadlala vele nalinile because siyathi ukuthi internationally la kushaya khona le bhola la ifikisha khona la pass akufanani nalelo sikusebenzisa kuthina kuletinye indzawo la kithi uthola ukuthi babeka kwakhiwa lokuhlata but international siyathi ukuthi kuhlukile lokho and bo groundsmen lapho basuke bathi ukuthi nangabe belina ngalesihlanu ngemgcibelo ukudzinga kudlale balenta kanjani lelo ground lelo. Ngicabanga ukuthi sisemuva kancane vele ngicabanga ukuthi asikho enhlanhleni yaloko ngiyalo nje litawuqala vele lina till December, so le league le ngibona ngasithi awuphathamiseka kakhulu ecricket.
Master Sasha ukuthi when we're here we're not attacking anyone, it's all about biqiniso and fair and accuracy. Most dominant players that we use as a country, Marquez country club,
yes.
Khona lesingakwenda at this point in time to accommodate the situation. If you're saying that the league is likely to miss up to December, now ubuka ama teams, ubuka the weather conditions, khona lesingakwenda in the meantime, khona lesingabambisa khona i cricket association ukuthi sichubeke benemidlalo. Can we do something at this point in time?
I think nakhona Fabrice ukuthi ngakuthi bahlale phansi bayiplane le mvu yabo because njengoba ngisho nje ukuthi inyalo vele imvula taba khona and siyathi ukuthi isikhathi lesinele licala kuduma ngabo 3-4, so ngicabanga ukuthi nakhona akudinga ukuthi ama games abo nangabe bafuna kwadlala nangabe alini kule weekend leyo bawaqale ekseni ukuthi kushabo 12-1 nangabe nje icala ama teams yaqala nga9 ngiyabekisa kuyadlalwa lo 2 hours yaphela nga11 from 11 icala lenye iyophela noma half 11 iyophela ngabo half 1 ithina licala lidvuma sekaphelile ama games but nangabe atawucala ngabo 1 ama games as imicumbi yabo yawo bekaqala noma ngabo 10 kutaba nenkinga vele but ke nalendzaba yelisale ngicabanga ukuthi mina ingaba isolution because siyathi vele ukuthi nangabe ulitholile lelisale lakho alisale litaba i-half a hectare utawukhona ukuthi ukhavele lo ground la kutawudlala khona la kutawuma khona lama batsmen nala kutawujika khona ama bowlers then ke mhlambe le celeni la kutawuma khona ama fielders, so ngazama ukuthi mhlawumbe maybe lapho kungashelela kancane but na ukhona le cover le surface le la kudlalelwa khona ngicabanga ukuthi khona lokungendiwe.
That I understand. Now, having missed activities when it comes to tennis, when it comes to cricket over the weekend, the other sporting code that was expected to be active was golf. This is where now I get to lose it. How did we not maybe see the entire tournament? There was supposed to be the Eswatini Royal Insurance Corporation. Now, remember, golf, what they have been doing is that they are tracking back to the months that they have missed. Now, they were supposed to play the September monthly mark. Now, they couldn't play the September monthly mark. This is still in line with what was happening over the weekend. Master, Stabuka Titfombe, before si Kulumen, si Mulalele, Fiswe Vilane, who is the committee member. But we look at the pictures. Do you really think, Master, at this point in time, Kulukuni for a golfer to proceed with activities? Now, Bugala condition.
Yes, for Prisia Kala golf, Yajala, Exenian Jala 2 hours, Patike, Mbabane, Wasekvala, Ingung, Longel Dolopa, Lenkabansi Velia Patam Sago. konke because siyathi ukuthi igaluva nawo ishaya uyishaya kuhamba isigajanyana lesingaba ngetulu kwa 100 meters so bekungabonakala nje 10 meters so ngicabanga ukuthi kwaphathamisa kakhulu letinkungu letabe setiyavela lapho base kuthatha kudzinga ukuthi bathathe i-break nakuthathwa ke i-break kwasese kuyabonakala ukuthi
manje master umuntu longathi imbabane mhlawumbe le view lesibuka konje la inkuphi master
imbabane siyathi sonke ukuthi imbabane club nabaqala kudlala baqala ngala ngase Prince of Wales emva ko Prince of Wales bese sobheka ngathi ubheka eveni is it veni noma Thambeli yes ingathi ubheka lapho bese sekuyabuya ke lama holes sabuya ngala ngase dolobheni futhi kancane kodwa nje uqala lengase Prince of Wales wenyuke nayo hence ngako vele kwaphathamisa because kuba ngasi kuyakhuphukeka kancane lapho kuletiganga taboveni kunemcasa
well known faces of course
belivale mbamba yes babane city council CEO
lenkaba president golf union
baphathamseka kakhulu because siyathi ukuthi njoba social of Fabrice ukuthi igolf beyimele ichubeke ne tournament ya September unfortunately abakakhona ukuthi bayiqethe bayiqala yona bangayiqethe and kwathenga ukuthi labese ngaqala ikudlala
what a shot umphathi himself of course
labe basengaqala ikudlala labe basengekho labe basengefiki babatshela ukuthi cha ema games sekamisiwe simo selitulu asivumi kumnyama ngekho
one question masters we look at the pictures now siyathi ukuthi eGalvin kuba na 18 hole now under the current conditions when they're going to split lo 9 hole bamende bamudlale kabili kube lo 18 hole under the conditions kuyendeka mos master
kungendeka Fabrice but lana kwaphathamisa basadlala bebanga plan vele lokuthi kungendeka lenkungu bese seyiyavala ngicabanga sebebabukele litulu bona ukuthi ngeke lisheshe line kodwa ke lenkungu yasesiyaphathamisa imvo lebe ingavele ifike vele kungagathi umuntu.
Wow, and this, of course, the technology at work there, as we can see now. Having noticed what was happening over the weekend, they couldn't play, they couldn't finish the tournament. What was expected is that we're supposed to have the September monthly mark. This is Fiswe Vilane, the Mbabane Club committee member, executive member, giving us the details, what to do next, what's happening. Take a look at this.
Thank you, Taribo. It's actually a postponement. Namuhla vele uqinisile bekuyi SRC tournament yethu babukeli as they are away bese samaku bamba isikhathi because kube nema it's a monthly tournament so kube netinyanga lesingakadlali ngato I tournament yethu lebese sikwenta nyalo ukuthi sizame ukuthi sidlale kabili ngenyanga kuze ukuthi sikhone kubamba isikhathi so loku le weather yethu namhla unfortunately yalile tinkungu bedindalo ukuthi vele ibhola ingabonakali mase iyakhashana sabe sisithatha sinqumo sikomiti ukuthi simise imidlalo yanamuhla sitawuhlangana sibuke ukuthi ngabe ngiliphi ilanga lelingalunga ukuthi manje ke baphindze babuye badlali bethu begaluva badlali bakhona labadlali le bacetha kepha ke njengoba sadi tournament so kumele kube khona lo winako and everyone needs to get a fair chance yekucompete so vele kutadingeka ukuthi siphindze sibuye sonke kanye sidlale I-committee sikhonile ukuthi manje ke sikhulumisane sibonisane lo bekubonakala ngiloko ukuthi manje ke sekuthatha isikhathi ukuthi manje ke kukhona ukuthi ku-clearishe noma kumbe iphakame inkungu ema-golfers ethu besekafikile lamanye asuke endaweni letikhashane li-hour liphelile vele so lo kungaphakamisi lokusho ukuthi kithi once kwaba ngilo 1 hour bese kusikhathi sokuthi vele sesingabakhulula ukuthi manje ke bangabuyela emakhaya nalokuthi sikhona ukuthi simemetele ngesikhathi kuze ukuthi maybe labasuka khashana nabo bangasuki kanti vele angeke sisachubeka kudlala siyabathembisa nje ukuthi manje ke i-tournament to uphinze ibuye ibe khona lokusho ukuthi batakhona ukuthi baphindze babuye ngalinye ilanga ba compete same conditions i-prize khona sibonge kakhulu nesponsor sethu iSRC ukuthi vele nabo ngeke size sibajabhise sitaqhubeka sibe nayo i-tournament.
Wow, talking about selling out, that's one way you can say that the rain did, of course, to those who love the sport over the weekend. Master, uyamuva fisi ukhuluma ukuthi vele it's a sort of a postponement, but bakhona ngathi bebaqalile bacethele nokudlala, but it doesn't really work out wonke umuntu ufuna be part of the game, which means nyalo the rules have to change ufuna babukele ku board ebodini.
Yeah, kumele babuke Fabrice ngicabanga ukuthi vele labanye bese badlalile labanye bebasengadlali so kwase sekufika lesimo lesekumele ukuthi ke le committee bese sihlala phansi yabuka cause kumele le inyanga ya September iqedwe vele idlalo iphele cause siyadi njengoba sesishiwo ukuthi babuyela emuva bacala idingale
la usikuphi masa lesithombe lesibuka
embabane club ngasokhuphukela ngale usuka la phasi ngasemfule nawondlula nje lapho lo hweni sokhuphukela letulu la kuvamise khamba khona bavu nje Fabrice nabachamka letulu kuboveni ngikhona ke la
so kushothi la udane kule secret nje ngazuthi imodel eTiafontaine etinye tia
na usuka ke kule circle leyo khona la ufika ungena khona ka left na ubheka even ungena ukhuphuke ke lapho ubhekele etulu ngikhona ke lapho.
Wow, they have it, and of course we do hope that they will do have a chance to proceed with activities, knowing that it's one sport currently that is on point in terms of proceeding with the tournaments. Now, moving on, next point, it was a Swimming Association had their annual general meeting, and of course one of the key elements that was expected to be the outcome of the meeting was the elections. Outgoing Bheka Ncumaro, after 10 years in charge, Master Bheka Ncumaro Siyamati, I think mostly has made a name in the sport industry. Association for quite some time. I think maybe for those who are maybe saying, who are you talking about, is the same manager where Manzini Wanderers. But at this point in time, he was the president, outgoing 10 years. Master Nambuga Bheka Ncumaro, in terms of activities, things that have changed to you for the sport, ungamureta njani?
Fabrice ngicabanga ukuthi wonke umuntu unetimvo letinhle mhlambe letimbi nangabe tikhona but I believe if you are a human being kuba khona vele timvo letikabi uyayotende kodwa nangabe tibadinengile letinhle lotendile ngicabanga ukuthi siyayikunike lapho sikushayile tandla ngicabanga ukuthi Bheka usebentile kule association ye swimming 10 years wangena 2010 kulesihlalo lesi tinengeke timvo letendile Fabrice ema events beba khona ukuthi bawabambe ma competitions siyakhumbula nayibe khona nje eliphohlo dam laba bayimba khona 3 kilometers ma males ngicabanga ukuthi tonke letinvo leto ema competitions bekaba khona enjabulweni labe bawabamba even na development ke ema swimmers ngicabanga ukuthi bakhona electoral bo coach kule association ku gruma ukukhicida bo coach laba qualified laba bakhokhile ngicabanga ukuthi nabo labo coach labo basebentile bakhokha abadlali sikhuluma ukuthi nabo simanga labahlali bamelela live bahlale benta kahle kakhulu ma activities sikhuluma nga Robin Young our very own lo representa kahle ngicabanga ukuthi nawubuka bonke lawo le timbukuti lethu lethu ngicabanga ukuthi tento umsebenzi lomuhle kakhulu but ke nangabe vele bonke labamvulabo benta kahle siyasinike icredit yena president lokunguye Bheka Ncumaro lo saphumile
usakhuluma nga simanga Dlamini ngicisha ngasho sisimanga hloko sorry Robin Young, these are some of the top athletes lesinabo even, and then awubuka in terms of activity report ubuka ukuthi for the past 4 years international bas represented kahle, and I think one of the key element we need to improve, Master, facilities are still a problem.
Yeah.
Currently, now Kuruma facility, I think we don't have more than 3 well-known facilities. Ukulmenga njabulweni, there is a university campus. Ikona lenye facility Big Bend. Majority don't know about that facility, but ikona. But also Kuruma manye in terms of sporting for swimming. You can talk about a hotel. They have a swimming pool, but we're talking about a swimming pool for swimmers only. Yeah. We don't have that enough. Do you think now this is another area we improve?
Ngicabanga ukuthi invo le khohlisa kakhulu le association ukuthi bebakhona ku renta ku some of letinzawo lethu ukhuluma emvasi nje bebakhona ukuthi banga renta bosifunzana khona ama swimming pool. So ngicabanga ukuthi invo lethu laba lekuthatha ngokuthi bahlale phansi lo president lo fika konje lo musha kuzenga ukuthi akukhona ukuthola ema sponsors batokwakhala ama swimming pools ale association labata ukhona ukuthi ema games abo bawa host anytime nabafuna kwa host. For example nje i-tennis iyathola sponsor bayakha i-court yabo. So ngicabanga ukuthi nabo ngala yena president Herman Jele lo ngena ke office kuzenga ukuthi bahlale phansi na yonke le committee baplane ukuthi ku the next for 5 years labatamhlale office intiphi tinvo labatatenda party kakhulu le facility lapho khona le timbu ukuthi litawudzinga ukuthi tibhukushe khona.
A lot, of course, to talk about. When we talk about swimming, we want to talk about development, success, and everything. But before we get into that, the two gentlemen, of course, had a word with one of our TV crew to express how they feel about the sport. This is Bheka Nxumalo, the outgoing president, expressing his experience, and of course, the incoming Herman Jerry also expressing what he's looking to work on. Listen to this.
No, ngicabanga ukuthi sisebenzile kahle with my old executive since I came ngangena on board as president wa swimming Eswatini. Sibe nawo ama challenges lapha nalapha, but because besebenza as a team sakhona ukuphula through, because one of them la could be siblawa ama sponsorship and nema grants from locally and international, but sazama kule ecalelo bridge lelo sakhona ukuthi through all those challenges sikhona ukuthi sibeke i-swimming in the map. Njengoba ungarecalla nje ukuthi thina i-swimming sikhanze not kungathi sibe iphansi, but the best performer nje sika-swimming, but of late thina sishiye we've broken ama records. So ngicabanga ukuthi bengeke nami ku-achieve lokho kunedwana. It's through my executive lebe bangisupporter and the athletes at large, because now nje ukuthi bekunema records that for the past 20 years, 15 years. So sikhonile ukwa-break those records.
Okay, see association ngicabanga the first port of stop ngiko lokho si engage hulumende at inzabeni taxi lift ban for swimming. Sesiyobservile kulamanye emave ukuthi no ema-swimmers ema-athletes asabuyele asabhukusha, but la kithi sisamisiwe. We observe and we respect imithetho yelive and why, but nje sesithi sesibuka ukuthi no stake siba-approach esive lokho, is there a way we can meet each other halfway ekubeni bantwana babuyele bawubhukusha. Long term ke definitely sibuke ukuthi sitaqinisa ligama le Eswatini Association through strengthening our partnerships with the parent community, our stakeholders uhulumende and the international community. Sihleli nyalo ne committee lensha we will be meeting next week, where we will begin to put together a strategic plan, a 5-year strategic plan. Later ubuka sistayikhulisa njani sustain swimming in Swaziland.
Over the past few years, Mr. Jele, the association was actively introducing youngsters in the sport. Bafaka abantwana bathatha from etikoleni. Ngabe that project imqoka ngakanani for the future of swimming ability?
I-project leyo imqoka kakhulu, because at grassroots my foundations la yaw create sustainability in terms of transition within the sport. I-focus vele ngeke ikhweshe ebantwaneni. That's where we're going to focus within the schools to develop and to grow the sport, because those are the same guys like out in the years to come legongibona sustain abakhule babe ma-athletes within the swimming industry.
Beautiful stuff. Of course, we welcome you, Mr. Chele, as the new incoming president of Swimming Association. One thing we can assure you is that we're going to be there and report fairly and accurately what's going to be there. Criticizing what's happening in the sport, of course, we do that, but in the interest to build the sport, not to fight the management. Master, I'm not saying that this is the first time, but we've had a lot of new committees talking about strategic plan for 5 years. Go introduce us sport. This is something we've heard. We're not saying he's not moving in the right direction, but can we be assured ukuthi vele kutawendeka? Because no, we are still to reach the tikolo. It's still something that we want this to be implemented as soon as possible. He's speaking very well. He's speaking the right words, but getting here nyalo.
Ngicabanga ukuthi Fabrice ukudzinga ukuthi utenet involved insha mawungena e-committee noma nawe leader ngiyadzinga ukuthi usitshele ukuthi ema clinics indawo khona kanjani ngiyadzinga usitshele ukuthi bo coach ndawo hamba kanjani nivelele emakhaya sikubone lokho ngiyabekisa nje ku-Football Association bathi ukuthi every region la kunakhuza khona la kunenza khona Taka Football Association ngiyabidwa labo coach kuthiwa coach every coach lofuna kutokosha akete abhalise ngicabanga nalapho iyadzinga i-swimming association kukhicita abakhoshi labasha yes bakhona bo welcome Hlabathi labente kahle kakhulu kule sport but siyabadzinga labasha labatawufunza la kubo bachubeke nale sport bakhicite labanye lababhukushako labatawuhamba basimelele kuma games lamcwa kakhulu because nakhona lapho I believe ukuthi singenda kahle singakhona ukuthi sibe number 1 even in Africa.
Usakhuluma nga welcome master, do you think at this point in time maybe lo munye angatibita ukuthi swimming it's a sport where we are developing as a country, we are not yet there but we are growing as a country, do you think khona master ukuthi singathatha sinyathelo kwanyalo sithi we want to make it full time sport? Angibekisele na ungasuka nje nyalo tomorrow it's a rainy condition day again, but on a normal day welcome Tamkhanza any swimming pool, especially Mfas, training in the morning young kids, training Zambama young kids. He has taken the responsibility to tell himself, I'm a full-time coach.
Yeah.
Yes. So do we have that also time to say athletes can switch to become full-time swimmers if you want to excel in the sport?
Asoyibuka kanje Fabrice ukhuluma nga welcome Hlabathi lo full-time coacheni babhukishi bakithi. And na ubuka ukuthi bonke laba la phasakhe ukhuluma ngasimango ukhotshwa nguye ukhulume ngaye Robin Young ukhotshwa nguye and ba successful, so wonke umuntu kuyadzinga lokuthi ayithathe lenvo ayileselanga kuye. So ngicabanga ukuthi nangisho nje ukuthi le committee lensha lidwa nguye Hyman Jele kudzinga ukuthi bahlale phasi babuke kakhulu. Ngiyamuva ukhuluma ukuthi batawukhicita vele ema young swimmers labatawukhona ukuthi bagcine bavelele, kodwa labo lababhukushako labancane badzinga labo coach labantu abagruma.
They have it. More to come, of course, with Temidlalo tonight. We now move to the next annual general meeting that was taking place over the weekend, specifically on Sunday. This is gymnastic. Gymnastic is not a sport that we have as a country given much attention, but it's high time that our athletes should be given much attention, having, of course, witnessed in the past that there is potential, there is talent, there is capability in our local athletes. Master Nangu Muirelhofer, the Secretary General, speaking about the improvement. We'll hear about him, but gymnastic master, where are we as a country?
Ngicabanga isinyalo na ukhuluma nganyalo Fabrice sike sabona even lamanye la athletes ethu enda kahle isikhathini lesiphelile bebayibambile ke AGM yabo ngicabanga sinakhona agenda, part of le agenda yakhona bebeta ne strategy ukuthi batawu improve kanjani le sport. Asikho ku level engathi mhlambe wonke umuntu so aware ngale sport. Fabrice ngiyayingisi mina kuze le sport istawu kula bangani umsindvo nini ni leader.
Some of the coaches, yes,
yes, yena Maxwell coach
Maxwell yes, rugby people of course involved. Yes,
ngicabanga ukuthi Fabrice inokhuluma ngegymnastic ifaka cishe onke vele lama sports because bona vele ngabekisa ngibekise nema yes ngibekise ngema aerobics ngaphose ngikubekise kanjalo ukuthi kona kufaka onke lama sports nawukhuluma ngemtimba ngicabanga ukuthi imtimba nema muscles lamanengi but igymnastic ifaka onke lawo muscles lawo. So ngicabanga ukuthi bengisabekisa ke Fabrice ukuthi if le sport half of the population yeMaswati about 500,000 bangasathi then kunenkinga anikawendi kahle lo msindvo la kulabantu bendeni labantu babe aware ngale sport bathi ukuthi ema gymnastic is a sport akusiyo nje involve uvuka akusiyi hobby ukuthi ungavuka nje ungakwenda na ukhanuka noma involve utayenda njalo abakwende bakubona ku sport babese labantwana cause ngicabanga ukuthi mina if ungakhona ukuthi ufake labantwana labancane kakhulu cause bona amathamba savuma then wonke umuntu utawukhuluma ngaso bantwana labanengi batawujoina baningi labangakhona ukuthi baphumelele kuso le sport.
This is another sporting court, Master Singasho would say. They have talked about strategic plans. They have talked about being affiliated to International Gymnastic Federation. They have talked about improving coach licenses, having number of coaches. Now, this is another sport where it should be a must in schools if we're talking about improving the sport in the country. Now, to talk about more about the annual general meeting and how they are looking to improve the sport, this is the Secretary General of the Association, Gymnastic Association, Muirelhofer. Listen to her.
Our strategic plan for 2024 really looks at pillars, and that's about engaging our community, our coaches, our athletes enabling our coaches, our volunteers, our administrators, excelling in what we do, not only in the sport for our athletes and gymnasts, but also as clubs, as the federation and as administrators, and of course sustaining. In other words, that our sport will continue to grow over the years, not only in numbers, but also in strength of the amount of clubs within the country. So basically within these programs, we are concentrating a lot on the capacitation of our volunteers and our club structures. So next year we have been fortunate to be given approximately $16,000 to run 2 exciting courses, and that is for our tumbling, which we'll be doing a level 1, as last year we did introduction to tumbling. And excitingly for us, we're going to be doing gymnastics for all, including aerobics and gymnastrada. Aerobics is a gymnastic sport. We're struggling in getting our aerobic members to become a part of the federation, but we hope that one day you will see what an exciting competitive sport aerobics can be other than just recreational. And lastly, of course, pushing on the wonderful, wonderful sport of rope skipping. For me, this is one of the best sports you can have in a country. As anybody can do it, it keeps you 100% fit. And again, you've really got to see it to believe it. Well, they weren't appointed to the... Okay, so in order to continue with this program, we have put in place our technical commissions, and this will be for tumbling, gymnastics for all, and rope skipping. From our technical commissions, we have submitted our representation onto the National Sports, well, it's not the Sports Council, it's the National Commissions, where they will sit, and we have Kombisa, who will be on disability, Silinyani. Maxwell and Gwenya will be on the Women in Sport Commission. Kim Nasiotis will be on the Coaches Commission, and myself will be on the Gymnastics for All Commission. As in my capacity as well, I am a member of the International Olympic Committee Sport for All Commission.
A lot of things mentioned by herself, Muriel Hoffa. There is gymnastics for all. That means you and I can be part of. You can talk about gymnastics for aerobics, where now I think Master, I want to say, when Master mentioned these things about aerobics, he did not hear this interview. So Master and Kamonsu, you guessed very well. Now there's also a gymnastic for the sport where most people would want to know. We've done that at school. Master na rope skipping. Kamonsu ya kumbura would say at early age 6-5, everyone used to have a rope skip. And that's a very fitness sport. Now those are some of the things they will be focusing on. Now aerobics, it's being practiced locally as a recreational sport. Rope skipping, say Atisonge, and then gymnastics for all. Now, Master, do you think we can do this as a country?
Oh, we can, Fabrice. I think Muriel Hoffa, as a seasoned administrator, kulesikhathi lesi kumele ngabe ungiyamuva uthi they are struggling ukuthola abantu bema aerobics ukuthi batokwenda gymnastic as a full-time sport. Njoba ngisho is a seasoned administrator, kumele ngabe soyati tindlela tekudonsa abantu ukuthi ngakuthi babadonsa, because everyone uyawenda ama aerobics. In fact most of labantu bawenda ema aerobics laven. Ukhuluma nge-rope skipping lengicabanga ukuthi bamvana nabasebancane ukhuluma vele yes nasafunza school
awakumite ngeligama ngeSiswati
inzambu Fabrice wecinzambu lengicabanga ukuthi even nasebholeni na bo coach bakufake lokho as a training method kwenda abadlali bahlale bafit. So wonke umuntu uaware ngekweca inzambo, uaware ngema aerobics. So ngicabanga ukuthi lemakhaya
this is the basics. Asikhulume ukuthi sesibuka kuma Olympics, those ladies just on the cables on top.
Sikhuluma nje ngema basics. Rope skipping,
aerobics,
aerobics le bahlale la khaya nje sine instructor, best instructor DK Mthetwa. Lengicabanga ukuthi nawuthola labamvu labo nawuthola labo instructor uhlale nabo phasi uba understandise lokuthi kahle kahle ima aerobics are part of ema gymnastic so abakwendele mvu kube sport kungabe nje ukuthi they are keeping fit uyabona kuphela but abakwende kube sport so ngicabanga ukuthi letimvo leto batatulungisa as yena Mural Hofer as secretary general but njoba sebabekile ke nalama commissioning vile nje ukuthi boMaxwell bangenile ngala kuma commission ya bomake invo lenhle siyamata esibakeleni uyaba trainer kakhulu
experience
kakhulu ngicabanga nje ukuthi bayisethe kahle le commission yabo nale committee yabo.
They have it. A lot to come more, of course. We are now touching on athletics now. When government, of course, gave a green light to some of the sporting code to proceed with activities, athletics went on to have the annual general meeting. That time, that was early July, mid-July. They mentioned that some of the things that to take center stage would include the national champs at the end of this month. That is October this month. Now, we'll have our national champs. Now, in building up to that, some of the top athletes, well-known top athletes, were involved in an activity over the weekend. Master Stobuga, some of the rules and regulations, could say they were being followed, but this is high time. So available Swaziport, Bo Pumulens, I would say it was good to be back. And I think on Mhlaka 17 they have another activities. How we have an activity, especially nasekhuluma ngamatubane.
Remember Fabrice ukuthi Athletics Association ayibambe AGM yabo baveta ukuthi taba ne national champs but prior before the national champs lengicaba ukuthi nabo banikwa vele lemvumo ukuthi bangaqhubeka as a sport so bebakhathakelekele vele ukuthi babhalise bathathe ama temperatures bakwende konke lokho so bengichaza ukuthi prior basho ukuthi batawubamba 2 ema activities lata undvulela lama national champs.
This is one of them.
Ngiyo lena laba bayibambile ngeweekend ngicabanga ukuthi bayibambe kahle kakhulu Fabrice nawubuka ukuthi cishe onke lama teams but I'm very very happy nge club the TZD yes.
Of which I think the club is owned by the president himself, Mr.
Dlamini, yes. Bakhona ukuthi babe nebamvana ema-juniors ematubaneni bakhona ukuthi babe nema-seniors ematubaneni ngicabanga sebakwenda kahle konke so yena president wematubane uyati ukuthi nawukhuluma nge-development ukhuluma ngani nawukhuluma ngema-seniors ukhuluma ngani so ngicabanga ukuthi bakwende kahle ke Fabrice bakhonile practice abayitholile practice match and no weather bebavuma kakhulu ngeweekend because belingashisi.
We talk about Mhlaka 17. I think they have another activities but sakhuluma ngalokwendekile over the weekend, Master. We've talked about dominance of the armed forces, kulumanga correctional, kulumenge mapolice, kulumenge nanzanen, UEDF. At this point in time, UEDF dominate most of the time. Do we see another chance of this time around? Dominate. This is a skillful Pumulens, I want to believe so.
But I'm happy with the number of ladies. About 15 years ago, yes, bega kone ladies bega kichima, but about 15 years ago, bonga baboni bo inkumbi ladies guma tournaments la kanje beba fika nje babe bancanyana but inyalo sebakhona ngicabanga ukuthi le level seyenyukile ngeke nje saba mphumlile kuphela yes temalangeni nayo fikile wazama computer nayo phumlile but ngicabanga ukuthi Fabrice
you talk about Pumli, this is in sky blue
the technique
yes
the technique Fabrice
the speed
the speed athlete ngicabanga ukuthi coach wakhe la nakasafika safunza khona envonjeni wabuya wafunza khona kamanzini Mr Mabuza cause vele nakafika kamanzini wafikile etandleni takhe wamtshela ukuthi kahle kahle nawe athlete udiphatha kanjani kwesibili nangabe sogijima awugijimi nje ngathi ucoshwa ngumuntu kunendlela logijima ngayo uyambona nje ukuthi technique
one of our best sprinters in terms of ladies
exactly in fact
100 meters she's something
she's one of our best athletes female athletes lesike saba now in local
history
kakhulu because uyile nabo Mauritius wahlala nakhona wajima lengicabanga ukuthi usimelele kahle even nabo South Africa nakaya khona bekasimelela.
I think that's another question. I think Bolt was once here in the studio, the Swazi Bolt.
Yeah.
Subsiso Matsenjo. My question was to say, Master, how long? I want to believe we've sang so much about these guys. How long are we going to keep singing these guys? You talk about Subsiso Matsenjo, you talk about Pumulenziniza. same thing was happening to boxing, but now the likes of Zweli Dlamini are coming up here. Notabiso is no more the headline. How long are we going to say the same names? Fine, bakona bo distances, but how long are we going to rely on these two names? What can we do to ensure we see naramanye magama yave ikakhulukazi ku development?
Remember Fabrice, if we are an athlete and usativa ukuthi umtimba wakho uyaqina, even if kungaba 20 years nangabe usadominator kunenkinga dominator sikhathi suke remember ukuthi there was one sprinter, American sprinter, Tyson Gay, lo wogijima isikhathi lesithe kakhulu wasuyafika ke Bolt wase Jamaica wafika wasuthatha over Justin Gatlin wa wina 100 meters in 2004 and uphinze wayiwina again khona laba msuspenda khona wahlala because of wadopa. Look at that man. Lendlela la gijima ngayo experience. Yes, but bengisachaza ke nga Justin Gatlin ukuthi wahlala isikhathi wangagijimi kodwa uthi iBolt ngerace yakhe yekugcina 2 years ago wamshiya Gatlin. Ngicaba ukuthi noma ungadominate 15 years 20 years net nje now sese highest level. Zlatan Ibrahimovic una 39 bekathena 39 itolo but still usawashaya amagoli. Nangabe we athlete and kusakuvuma ngicaba ukuthi abachubeke swazi Bolt Phumlile Nzinisa unfortunately Thandaza Zwane
ngicela ukubamba master ngoba usakhuluma master ngathi sesisuke ku athletics nyasi sebholeni Zlatan Ibrahimovic smart ebholeni man, that's the excitement I like about Dlamini. Yes, that's the excitement I like about Mr. Dlamini, and not knowing that when you talk about footballers are athletes at the end of the day. That's why Cristiano Ronaldo is being referred as an athlete. Now, listening to those athletes who were on your screen and they were expressing their happiness, how they were comfortably feeling on the track and then on the fit track, and of course they were in the company of their new administrator, public relations officer Mafikane Dlamini. Listen to them.
Mina bengekho ready. I-training bengasigomelula because sometimes when I road working bekithi bayakuvimba amaphoyisa abafuna imask kan you can't train sine mask on yabona, so bekulukhunywani but lokuthi maybe sestovumela ukujima la, I don't know. Yes,
First competition yakho since,
but it was simple because I was just yeah.
Okay, man, going to the national championships on the 31st. How would it have already by the time?
Yeah, there was enough time.
So far, ngikhanze ingathi ingconywana, but kungane kunaloko. Ngima national champs tabe ngiloko cool. Kungedekile.
Isha ingconywana ikhona competition. Manje nje kuyavakala wona ukuthi kade sagcina ukujima. Awadi ngiba ngiyajabula ngoba bengisolo ngijima. Nalalitulu lisiphazamisile. Vele I was looking forward to lama competition lebeketa. Bengifithe kahle.
Kanza great ngiva kahle ukuthi sibile siyakompete. Ngathi ngaqhubeka senze sikompete futhi.
Ngathini akabi kahle ngalokuthi siphujile ekucala but eventually sibese siyaqala kusho ukuthi kona savela aqalile lamalungiselelo for the national. We're looking forward kulelenye meet letaba khona mhla ka-17. For me ngasho ukuthi I've been training as I'm preparing myself for the qualifiers for next South Africa. Ngidabe ngikhona these competitions angisita for lama qualifiers. I'm looking forward to run a fast time. At least 20.7 or 20.6.
Have you seen your times that Telamush?
Not yet, but I can feel the way I was running good. I was relaxed, but at the same time I was a bit faster.
For the competition I'm trying build up number 1 namuhla. Kuhambe kahle. Ngalokuthi vele bese sihledi isikhathi leside singacompete, so angeke ngikhale kangako for lama letikhasa ngitendile namuhla. And then njengoba kuyi build up number 1 and then build up number 2 lapho la ngifuna ukutibeka khona ku target ukuthi ngema national champs ufuna ngibe nesikhathi lesihlala khona lesongijabulisa.
Yes, umuntu akasho lokho ukuthi bekusele kude iactivity ematubane kulo past 6 months. Eninyalo sesibuyile. but ke vele bobona ukuthi lama athletes vele abengahle in terms of preparations the standard akusoke bese sicabanga but ke because bese build up number 1 so semba ukuthi lo mhla ka 17 build up na number 2 batabe sebatilungiselele ema-athletes ethu and siphethe ukuthi siphakame le standard. In fact umvakasho lokuthi phela lapha vele ngema build ups lawa ema-national championships atha khona mhla ka 31 ku-October so ke vele ngicabanga ukuthi siqale kahle and itaba khona improvement ngoba nje kubonga lokho ukuthi hulumende wembube agcine amasports lamanye asawavulele lokuthi akhona labafana abadlali vele bese ba board sikhathi sibe siyakhula isikhathi labasihledi but ke having said that sine believe ukuthi ngalomhla ka 17 sitawuphakama le standard and lama athletes kufuna ukuthi aqhubeke atililungiselele lokunye ngaba ukuthi uyathi nje umuntu angathi aka encourage emadolobha la khona in the country ukuthi lama clubs ematubane abawaformish.
Well spoken, of course. As an administrator, incoming new director or rather public relations officer, Mafikane Dlamini, Uyamati Master, I think this is another achievement for the association to bring someone who's vocal as his caliber.
Oh yes, ngene about 3 weeks kule position la ngena kuyo ya replace na Mr Mamba laba ngipro ngicaba ukuthi Fabrice nangivatongele tinkulumo talama athletes la ecala akhulumile bathi abebangati lungisele bebangakhona ikujima ubona sebathawu khona ukuthi ba practice kahle kule build up yesibili bese ke seba kuma national champs. Here comes Sibuso Mathendra. I've been training ngilungiselela ema qualifiers, not the national champs, ema qualifiers. Ema national champs atawusebenza sikhashana kakhulu. Ngicabanga ukuthi if ongelama athletes angathi wona abuke nakuya yes ema national champs amcoka kodwa lokumcoka kakhulu kunanga ema qualifiers lataba se South Africa.
Now, moving on to the next activities that was active over the weekend. Pool, another sport Singasho currently is making headlines. Now, Kurumagama activities. The potential champions, Correctional, they have dropped points, Master. Correctional, Siba Vida about a month ago, talking about doing what Green Mamba did. They have started dropping points, but that's nothing to be worried about. Now, Buga maybe performance here. What's your comment? That's the Bugama results, but what's your comment?
Fabrice, I'm very, very impressed in a way in yakhombisa ukuthi ine experience last season nakhona badlala kahle kakhulu. Babuya this season bashaya ecorrectional team lebe bayisaba nabo bashilo vele basibethe kule game le bayisaba yona ecorrectional, but basithe nasebadlala babona ukuthi awu ngase sisabalite la besine experience kusho bewe in sine experience thine singakhona ukuthi sibashaya labamvlaba babashigcina babashayile 39, but ke akusiyo igame lebe mnanzi kuphela leyo igame yabe Reps ne France. What a game. Because now yes lo mnyanga buka ukuthi 13 ka9, but le game lebe beyinhle kakhulu. Yaqala yalida yona iFrance yasiyafika iReps yabandlula endleleni. Ngicabanga ukuthi iReps besolo sikhuluma ngecorrectional sabuya ku3 sakhuluma ngeReps. Ngicabanga sinayo siphutile wina kani beta kabi kakhulu. Ngicabanga ukuthi 3 teams this season la khombisa kuba competition way in Reps and Correctional. All those teams ngicabanga ukuthi atitsheli level ukuthi afuna kudlala kahle this season.
Beautiful stuff, of course, coming all the way from pool activities. Of course, we will of course give it more time as the time now is against us. We can see clubs, of course, well branded in their colors. You can see how they're doing well now. Catching up on our international news. Before we go to the international news, Master, maybe just want to give a viewer a quick update. This is the table. You can't buy experience. I like the word down there, the slogan. You can't buy experience. I think look at the teams that are going on top. Correctional, of course, 23 points, 21 Reps, which is the Royal Eswatini Police, Figueiredo, Bunya, and look at way in the team that surprised the potential champions, number 8. So would see kaphulu kufana nasebholeni kuyendeka
kuyendeka Fabrice in fact banayo le experience yes ubona basashoda ngaye bane game in hand ngicabanga ukuthi batawukhona vele ukuthi bafike ku top 4 nabayiwina leyo game in hand yabo but nawubuka lapha eTulu vele correctional reps bakhombisa kuba nemandla kakhulu but yona iwe inikhombisile ukuthi anyone can beat i-correctional nayo i-reps lengicabanga motivation kula lamanye ama-teams ukhuluma ngabo Bunya ukhuluma ngabo Mazini club ukhuluma ngabo France ngicabanga ukuthi banike leyo motivation ukuthi sonke singayishaya i-correctional singayishaya i-reps.
Now there we have it. Time is against us, of course. Moving on to our international news. Talking about international news, we begin quickly, very shortly in Africa. Roughly less than a week since he signed for the Red Devils of the up north in Egypt, Al Ahly, Pitso Mosimane has actually encountered his first 3 points as the head coach of Al Ahly. Master, si bonile Wednesday, Tinpatendega, Friday he had already flight. He was already in Cairo. Now over the weekend, Sunday evening, he actually witnessed his first win as a club head coach, 3 points. How much trust do you have in this man in taking charge of the Egyptian giant?
I'm not going to talk about more Pitso Mosimane because he's a proven winner. But uthi nakahamba walanza his physical trainer uMamelodi Sundowns walanza his performance analyst lengihlale ngikhala ngako ku local football ukuthi physical trainer kumele abe khona angabe assistant coach performance analyst kumele abe khona ubese solanza ke Calvin Johnson itolo kusa atoba assistant wakhe ku Al Ahly lokusho ukuthi 3
but beyafisile kuba nalomunye assistant bese kuba netinkulumo ukuthi lomunye uthakasi lawyer
ngicabanga ukuthi sombisela lenzaba lesayikhuluma last week Rulani Mokwena bekumele ahambe naye Pitso Mosimane but Rulani Mokwena ngalokuthi iSundowns bese yambuyisa last season just before iphele isizini lephelile ufune kuba loyal ku president wayo iMamelodi Sundowns. Imamelodi Sundowns bese announce ke ukuthi yena Rulani Mokwena banaye manqoba mncinci bataba
but apparently this president has liked Mr. Mosimane for quite some time,
for a very long time. In fact Fabrice yena Pitso Mosimane alandvelwa nguye coach president we Al Ahly but ke those people abekho patient na ukhuluma ngabo coach so ngicabanga ukuthi bafuna ama results e-league awasisiko mcoka kakhulu bafuna na Champions League kakhulu.
There you have it. We keep a close eye to what will be happening. Now, internationally, the last time a team like Liverpool was beaten to that caliber was back in 1970s, 7-2 against Aston Villa. They went on to win the league. I don't know why we should maybe deny that, but maybe this could be the same case this year. 7-2, biggest defeat in the league for Pep, following, of course, the 5-0 against Manchester City, Mastuya Kumbula, following when he was still in Belgium. But this was his biggest, 7 goal conceded. He couldn't hide his emotions. He couldn't hide the defeat. Look at that screen at the stadium at the Villa Park. Master, what's your comment? We booked the game, but we not seen the game.
Remember Fabrice, goalkeeper wa Liverpool, yena Alisson Becker bekangekho, bekuvimbena Adrian, bekangekho Sadio Mane. Ngicabanga ukuthi le Liverpool lena nawubuka kahle vele they depend kakhulu ku goalkeeper wayo, they depend kakhulu ku Mane, but for Aston Villa ngicabanga ukuthi kushaya 7 noma goal against ma champions against a team le njenge Liverpool lenabo Van Dijk lenabo Salah lenabo Keita lenabo Fabinho ngicabanga ukuthi badlale kahle kakhulu Fabrice yena Greenish lo captain wayo Aston Villa udlale kahle kakhulu naye goalkeeper wabo ke we Aston Villa labamthathe Arsenal Martinez ngicabanga ukuthi uvimbe kahle kakhulu bese kuba na Barkley labamlonishe khona Chelsea but that was not only the game lebele sibone iba nemagoli lamanengi kakhulu. Manchester United versus Tottenham Hotspurs Spurs shot 6 amagoli against Mourinho facing his former
football humble
football Fabrice ngicabanga ukuthi kube ne build up bene shintshiselana kwamagama last week between yena Ole na Mourinho. Ole wakhuluma ngekuthi Mourinho kube bekuthiwa bekuna Mourinho bekangakhulisa lepali siyakhumbula igame ye Europa League labahamba khona iSpurs siyodlala wase Mourinho lepala lisiko kahle alenyuso kancane lifisha wabuya Mourinho wathi kube kuthiwa bekungu Ole bekangakhala ngokuthi i18 ayileso ngala center because ema-penalty bayawathanda last season benama-penalties lamaningi kakhulu i-Manchester United. Ngicabanga ukuthi une-pressure yena Ole Nyalo. I-Tottenham inabo badlali laba strong labashaya amagoli. Harry Kane ukorile, Son wakora. Ngicabanga ukuthi this season nawubuka kahle irole ya Harry Kane ishintshile.
Ngiva amagama bathi tebo captain fantastic. Ligama liyamfita yini Harry Kane?
Captain weNgilandi ngicabanga ukuthi ube sesoyawathola lamatomu ku Spurs yena Hugo Lloris nguye captain. But nje Fabrice ngicabanga ukuthi sibone iweekend lenhle kakhulu khona eNgilandi ngicabanga ukuthi lamagoli ashayiwe for the first time in history ye Premier League. iManchester ilose nga6 amagoli. Same day iLiverpool iluza nga7 amagoli. First time in history.
Now, today is the deadline of the international transfers, especially in England, things that are making headlines. Clubs want players. Now, Master, I'll give you 3 teams. Stasibuya Monday ngala. If into tingendeke ngalendlela ufise ngayo ukuthi tendeke ngayo. Stawubona kusitawendana kanjani mina now. Especially for a club like Manchester United, ukukhulunywa ukuthi Cavani is on his way. Possibility corner. But let's go to Chelsea. They're talking about releasing the likes of Rudiger.
Yeah.
Let's leave that. Now, for the fans of Arsenal, there's a potential coming of Thomas Partey. Labanye bathethenge kunde. Do you have faith ukuthi by the time sivuka kusasa ekseni Thomas Partey utaba umdlali weArsenal?
Nazivuka kusasa Fabrice yena Cavani utaba umdlali weManchester United. Thomas Partey ema reports athi he's already in London.
If kungendeka ke mase ukutawendeka. If these are the viewers bayakulalela.
Ngicabanga ukuthi lengakusho Fabrice, but I'm 98% sure Thomas Partey utawusayina ku Arsenal. Bese kuvele kunemabhena ke London bathi no Thomas no Partey. But sitawubona ukuthi kutawendekani.
Reliable sources.
Yes. But ngicela kushona ku Fabrice ngelminute last Thursday sasikhuluma ngebhola ngeFA yena president Bomba Mthethwa sithi qualify yes lakhaya sithi isayithemi yakhe egcina. But umthethosisekelo ukhuluma nga 3 terms. In fact le constitution yaqala in 2009 nakangena eoffice. So usenayo lenye item langayingenela arana for ipresident and nakafit adivine ukuthi utawungena but sitachaza kahle ngalesini.
In other words, the correction that Linda Dlamini is bringing in, by being, of course, a loyal supporter of football, by being one person that always updates you of what's happening football-wise, is making sure that you get the right information. What he's saying is that a quick correction from what he said on Thursday is that Bomba does have another team. He is eligible to run for office for another team. So says the constitution that was implemented back in 2009. Otherwise, in the company of Linda Dlamini, thank you very much, Linda, for being here. We'd love everything that you gave us. We believe that what you've told us is going to happen in the next 48 hours, or rather in the next 48 minutes, because in Europe some of the clock watch is totally different. We get to hear in the next morning what's going to happen. Otherwise, internationally, we thank you. Locally, we thank you. All the details were revealed here on Temidlalo. For the team that brought you this broadcast, for the broadcasters, all of us here in the studio, Silvia Lagamnans.